Welcome to another episode of Loving Gratitude. How are you? How do you feel? I do feel great actually because here the weather is so beautiful. We have like 16 degrees and I'm just so happy when the sun is out. I know I mentioned this before, but everything changes when the sun is out, and we have spring here now, and yeah, I just love this, like when I see the nature blooming and growing and renewing. And I was already out for a walk and it was so beautiful. I went out for a walk with my mom actually because I was thinking I didn't spend that much time with her anymore for a long time. So I thought, hey mom, let's go out for a walk. I asked her and she was like, okay, let's go, because she likes to go for a walk too. And it was very beautiful. We were talking about so many things, and you know what, I was not aware of the fact that my mom had problems, because as you know, maybe the parents, they always hide their problems and they don't really share their problems with their children. So I was like, when I spent time with her, and I have a good connection to my mom, I have a good relationship to her, but for a long time we didn't do anything together, and we didn't really talk about problems or anything, like something, we didn't talk about something serious. So it was very nice and to hear everything from her perspective, because she went through a lot and she didn't share this with me, but today she did, and it was so nice to hear this, because it was nice to share our problems and to listen to her and to be there for her, to just be present in that moment and to listen to her and to give her my attention, because I think she needed that definitely. And so how are you? How do you feel, by the way? I hope you're feeling great and everything is beautiful. And a quick message right now from me to you is that spend time with your parents, spend time with your mom, spend time with your dad, and spend time with your siblings, of course. Spend time with your family, because one day it will be all gone. This time is very precious, and this physical time is very precious actually. Because many people, they think time is an illusion. We can talk about this another time. But today I want to talk about something that is making me kind of upset. And you're probably wondering why this video is coming so late, because it's already Thursday. But I was very busy the last few days. And I had an exam on Monday and I was so done. I was really so done, and I lost all of my motivation and all of my resilience and resistance, anti-stress motivation, I don't know how to call this, but I was so done really. I can't tell you, because, and especially in the last 2 days before the exam, I was like, I didn't study really. I studied for that exam for like only 2 weeks, and it was good, it was okay, but I couldn't do this anymore, because it was going on my nerves. And I couldn't handle this anymore, because I'm already in my semester break, and to have an exam in your semester break, and especially after so many exams, it was very exhausting to me. It was very, very exhausting. So I couldn't do this anymore, and I was like, oh my god, when is it going to be over? And yeah, but when you're a student and when you also had exams, then you probably know this. And I have a friend, she still has exams, and she has exams until April, and she almost has no break, and she constantly has to study. And poor her, and I don't want to be in her position. I mean, of course, I'm also mad about my university, but of course, okay, so I love my university really, because it's so beautiful and the people there are so nice. But it's just so too much, and especially there are some profs, they are not really helping you, and they're not really caring about your stress and the exam season. So And you know, also a few days ago, I received a message that I didn't pass one exam, and that's totally fine. But in the beginning, it was like a shock to me because there are only few exams that I don't really, failed. But when I failed this one, I was like, it was like a shock for me. It was like a slap into my face. And because, you know, I felt very identified with my ego. And then in the first few seconds, I was going through this shock and madness. And I was like, oh my God, how is this possible? Why? You know, because my ego didn't want to accept this. But then I was in the third second of feeling these feelings and emotions going through this, I was completely conscious. I was calling myself back and I was like, Rookie, wait a minute, you're not your ego, and this is just a number, you know, and you can do this again. Like next semester, you have the chance and the possibility to go through this again and to not fail your exam, you know. So yeah, do not identify yourself with your ego because you are not your ego and you're not your pain body. Be conscious and be awake. And so coming back to my friend, she, you know, we had a call and she was crying and she was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. And you know, her university is way worse. They have to get done so many assignments, so many exams, and so much. And you know, visiting the classes for her is obligatory, but for me not. Like I don't have to visit the classes, so that's why I do most of the work at home, and I go only 2 times in a week to university. Because it's also far away from me, so I'm trying to do everything at home as much as I can. But for her it's completely different. Like she has to go, she has to be there, and for so many hours and every day of the week. Like I'm so blessed that I only have to go for 2 days, but she has to go every day and from morning till evening, like so many hours. And you know, I can't even handle 4 hours at university, and I can't imagine staying there for the whole day and having no life anymore. And you know, I'm completely against this. But actually, when I was studying in Karlsruhe, because before I was studying international management in Karlsruhe, and it was for me horrible too, because I had so many classes to attend, which were obligatory, and I didn't want to go, and I didn't want to study there, and I was feeling so alone, and I was feeling so depressed there. And I know you can choose if you want to be depressed or not, but back then I was not conscious, and I was not in that position I am now today, and I didn't have this consciousness and this level of being aware of what I am and who I am and what I feel and everything else. So it was a horrible time for me, and that's why I just studied 2 semesters there, and then I just dropped out of university because I didn't know what to do anymore. I worked for a year, and after a year I found this subject, this study. Now I'm studying sustainability and change. It's completely economy and sustainability, as the name tells it all. So I'm very happy now. You know, I really like to study because I have so much time, and I really like sustainability because I was always interested in sustainability. And I know I don't look like someone who is interested in sustainability, but I am. And I'm trying to live as sustainable as possible, and you know, being aware of planet Earth and respecting planet Earth and our nature and everything else, like animals, because it's so important to respect everything and to tolerate everything, and to to be conscious of everything and of yourself and of your behavior, and what kind of impact you have on nature and on animals and whatever. So yeah, that's why I'm very interested in sustainability, and I'm very happy because, yeah, it's very, very nice to study this. So if you don't know what to study, study sustainability because it's very cool and you have so many opportunities, especially in the future, because now it's more like a trend, but in the future it will be more and more, and it will be a big thing actually, because now already so many companies, they started so many projects about sustainability, and yeah, I think you will have great opportunities if you go that way. Okay, but you know what? I want to address one thing. So I grew up hating school. And probably you feel me, because so many children, they hate school. And also I'm a tutor for children, so I have many students, and there's especially one child, and he really doesn't like to go to school. Especially the child of my cousin, she is very, very motivated to go to school, but because of she's getting bullied, she doesn't want to go, and that's actually so sad. But we want to talk about the school system today, and about university and going to school in general, and because so many people, they think school is a scam, and I'm wondering if you're also agreeing this, like, do you think school is a scam or going to university? Because I kind of think it is a scam, but more to this later, because first I want to tell you that I hate school, okay? I hate school so much, and I used to hate school so much back then when I was a child. You know, I just wanted to go and play outside. You know, I just wanted to spend my time with games and playing outside and with my friends. And I couldn't just sit there and do the homework and go to school in the morning, like waking up at 6 a.m. and going to school like when I'm 6 or 7 or 8, because I want to play. You know, I want to feel free and use my fantasy to go outside and to play and to use my time to do what I want to do, you know, what I'd like to do, and not just going to school and waking up early in the morning and sitting there the whole day and getting bullied, because I was getting bullied my whole life and it was not nice. I mean, now I'm laughing, but back then it was horrible for me, so I was crying the whole time. For so many years I was feeling discriminated because of the way I look, because I grew up here in the south of Germany in a small village where you had no Turkish people. I was the only one, and yeah, I was getting bullied, and it was not nice. You know, the teachers, they didn't like me, and I didn't like them, and I didn't like anyone, and I didn't like anything. You know, just school was horrible for me. It was always very, very hard for me to go to school and to study, and I was always having bad grades, and my parents, they were so worried about me. And you know, my dad was trying to tell me, Rookie, when you will have a good grade in this exam, then I will buy you an iPad, I will buy you this, that. But you know, I was never very motivated from his words. I was not getting motivated from his words, because I didn't care at all, because you know, I gave up since the beginning. So when you give up in the beginning, you have no chance at all. You already lost and you're already a loser. So I was one in school, but I didn't care. You know, I didn't even care, because you know, I had other problems and I was worrying about other things. I was not worrying at all. So, but you know what I noticed? That the school system is getting worse and worse and worse with the years. And I noticed this because I have students and children around me, and they tell me about their school and about their education system. And especially here in Germany, it's very based on discrimination, I would say, because we have different school systems. I mean, there is only one school system, but in that school system, there are many systems. For example, the niveaus, the levels of your degree. For example, here there are, in high school, you have 3 different systems, like classes or schools. The first one is the gymnasium. It's the best. It's like the highest form of school, and you have to go to gymnasium before going to university. So you have to have that education system, and if you don't have gymnasium, you're not able to go to university. You don't have this access. And the second one is the Realschule. Realschule is the second good system, and the last and the worst is the Hauptschule. Back then we had Hauptschule, now they changed it into another name, so it doesn't sound that bad and that discriminating, you know. And you know what? I'm a miracle child and I'm chosen, and I like to say this a lot because because of my bad grades in primary school, and because I was a Turkish person, because of the discrimination here and racism, I can talk open about this because this is my podcast and I don't care whatever you say or whatever everyone else says, because I'm open and open to receive your point of view, because everyone thinks differently, but from my point of view, and because this is my podcast, I can talk freely, and I would definitely say that the south of Germany is racist and discriminating, especially back then, because in small villages it's very, very hard to integrate, and because of the way I look, they didn't like me, and I couldn't speak German properly back then. So I understand and I understand their patterns in their subconscious mind, because anyways, that's another story. But they sent me to Hauptschule after primary school. So I was in the Hauptschule for 2 years. It was the worst time of my life because I was getting bullied. Oh my God, it was horrible. But you know what? Thank you for my bullies, because that all of this experience made me the person I am now. And I'm so happy about it. Back then, of course, it was horrible for me, but now I'm very happy and grateful because I am the person I am because of those experiences. And anyways, I was there for 2 years, and because of the person I am, because I'm constantly improving myself, and especially back then it already started by improving my grades, and I had good teachers, and there was especially one teacher. I love her so much because she always supported me, because I was also fighting with health problems back then. I was having very, very horrible health problems, so she was very helping me all the time, and she was always here for me. She was supporting me, and she was like, "Hey, Rookie, look, when it's possible for you to improve your grades, do this, and then you can change your school, because I know how much you're struggling here in this school, and you deserve so much better." So I improved my grades, and I jumped up to the Realschule, the second best school, and then I was there for 4 years or 3 years, no, 4 years. And after this degree I jumped up to gymnasium, and then I finished my gymnasium degree, and after my gymnasium degree I jumped to the university, and I improved myself again, and but all the time I hated school, and I didn't want to go to school, and I was thinking school is a scam, and I didn't like the teachers, I didn't like the people there, I didn't like anyone, and I had few friends only. But then later I also had problems with them. It was always ending up with problems, kind of. I don't know if I was a problem or they, but I believe that everything has to happen for a reason, and that's okay. And now I grew because of this, because we grow through what we go through, and this is something that I like to use a lot and to remind myself, because everything makes you better and everything makes you stronger. So stay positive, stay optimistic. Okay, so about school, I noticed that of course I'm going to university, and now I'm more independent and studying on my own, and I'm not depending on teachers and on other students, because when you're studying, it's you're more on yourself, you have to work everything on your own, and but I noticed that from my children, my students, they are having the worst time of their life because of school, because they're having so many exams. Each week they're writing at least 2 exams, they're having 2 exams, and so much pressure, so much. And the teachers, they don't really care about their students anymore. They're like, okay, you have to study this, next week we're gonna have a test about this, and then all of a sudden they're sick, and then they're not helping the children anymore. So the children are completely lost, and managing their own stress and their own work and their homework, whatever, and their studies. And Yeah, this is like they're completely getting betrayed in school. I can really tell they're getting betrayed and nobody's helping them. Like I'm helping my students because nobody else is helping them. And they're like so small, they're like 12 or 13 years old, even smaller and younger, and they need someone, you know, they need a leader, they need someone who helps them, who leads them, who shows them the right path, or to study the right thing. And you know what? I am completely against the school system, and when I will have my own children, I will not let them go to school, and I will homeschool them, and I will get professional teachers to teach them really important things. Because for me, okay, math is like, okay, important a little bit, but German is not important at all. Or, okay, English, the language, but you know, the language, you don't learn the language just by writing, but you learn the language by speaking. Because I had English for so many years in school, and I was always having a bad degree in English. But now, for a German, for a German who was born and raised here, I can speak English well right now. And because I gained that experience, you know, I was abroad and I was talking in English, so I was speaking that, you know, I was practicing English. But in school, you don't really learn how to speak English properly. Anyways, for me, I think school is so unnecessary. It's a waste of time, and especially it's something to put children under pressure, you know, to make their life unhappy. And to make them slaves, you know, and to turn them into sheep, yeah. And this is my opinion. And you know what Mencken said about this? He said the aim of public education is not to spread enlightenment at all. It is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same safe level, to breed and train a standardized citizenry, to put down dissent and originality and authenticity. Because what happens when you're distracting children from their true self and from their true purpose? They turn into sheep, you know, they're all turning into the same thing, but they're not all the same. They're individual and they're different, and not just children, but we all are individual, and we're all special, and we are all having a life purpose, an individual life purpose, and dreams and goals. And you know what? I'm going to show you a cartoon, probably here now you can see it. This cartoon shows our current education system or current school system, and I'm so against this because, you know, you cannot have the same expectation from everyone, from each of the child and from each of the person, you know, of that individual, because everyone is different and everyone has different skills and strengths and weaknesses. So you can't expect from every child to have a good grade in German and to have a good grade in English the same level, you know, because as I said, for me, for example, when I was a child, for me math was super easy. Like I completely had this logical, I was using more my logical brain hemisphere better. But later it changed, so I was more like writing and reading and texting, you know, this kind of student. I was so horrible in math. But it was not because of me, but it was because of my teacher. And you know, the teacher has a big, plays a big role in the life of a student, because the teacher also works as a role model, you know, and a motivator and a leader and so much more. And anyways, but now of course I'm good in both things. I'm excellent, I would say, for myself. I'm good in math and I'm good in writing because I'm training my brain every day. And you know what? I can tell you a little secret of mine. So when I wake up, I'm brushing my teeth with the left hand because I'm training this. So I'm training both of my brain hemispheres. And I also started to write with my left hand, even though I'm a right-hander. So so I can train both of my brain hemispheres. So I'm getting better in everything. And training myself because I want to be the best version of myself, and I'm improving daily, even if it's just 1%. Okay, so probably you heard about Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller. And he said, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers. What does he really mean about this quote? Who knows? I think that because I said before, they're all turning us into sheep and into slaves. Slaves. Of course, you know what I mean. But making us the same color, making us the same, giving us the same goal, giving us the same education. We're all turning into the same person. I like to call it losing our colors, losing our colors, because when we're losing our individuality, we're losing our personal colors, and we're all turning into one color. And I like to use gray, because gray is so it's so just, kind of boring. Gray is a boring color for me. So when we're all losing our colors, we're turning into a boring person, and because then we all are the same kind of. And I'm not a big fan of this, because they're doing this to our children. So John D. Rockefeller, he was the inventor and the creator of the GEB, the General Education Board, and probably you heard about this. And he created this in the US, but unfortunately that education system also came to the Western world, like to the Western countries. So we all kind of have the same education system. But I think in Germany it's way more focused on discrimination because of the different school systems, the levels of schools. Because why would you separate children to different levels of schools because of their grades? I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it also doesn't make any sense to me, because then you're more turning the people into groups. You're leading them into a group, the sheep system. So different kind of groups, different kind of sheep. Anyways. And John Taylor Gatto, he said about this that I'm gonna quote this. I've noticed a fascinating phenomenon in my 30 years of teaching. Schools and schooling are increasingly irrelevant to great enterprises of the planet. No one believes anymore that scientists are trained in science classes, or politicians in civics classes, or poets in English classes. The truth is that schools don't really teach anything except how to obey others. And this all again leads to the sheep system, And about John D. Rockefeller, when he said, I want a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers, he meant that when he puts us into the same system in a very young age, and when we grow up with this without having our own goals and dreams and chasing ourselves, and not connecting with our true self, with our higher version and with our higher dimension, then we will be easier to control, to get controlled. And actually, really, okay, so I understand when you want to be a doctor, you study medicine. That totally makes sense to me. And when you want to be a lawyer, you study law. Also makes sense to me. Or for example, when you want to work as an engineer at Mercedes or Porsche, and then you're studying engineering, that also makes sense to me. That's okay. You can go to school and study whatever you want. But you know what the problem is? Many people, they don't know what to study because they have no freedom. In their whole life, they were depending on the school system, and they were not really able to find what is truly fitting them and what is truly good for them, what they truly want to do when they grow up, or what they want to work, what is their own purpose and what is their, calling, because they didn't really have the possibility, the opportunity to explore, to see, and to gain experience. And I think I don't have to say more about this because it's obvious. And when I ask so many people, so many students, hey, what are you studying? And they're telling me their studies. And then I'm asking, is this your dream study? Is this something that you wanted to study? And they were like, no, I'm studying this because I didn't know what to study in the first place. So I'm studying this. And in Germany, so many people, they study economy or BWL. If you're from Germany, you know probably, because they don't know what to study. So they just study this because that's the basic study you study when you don't know what to study. And to me, that's funny. And in the beginning, I always thought I want to study international management, but it was not the study that I wanted to study. It was just because I thought it's cool and because other people studied that. So I was very, very naive and I didn't know. So now I know. And before you start your university, please gain experience. Go abroad and do some internships, because that helped me a lot. And get to know people from the business world, connect yourself with these people, and listen to stories and go and get experience, and this is the way it works. So I want to tell you more about the history of education and about the GEB, the General Education Board. So in 1902, Rockefeller founded the General Education Board with an initial donation of $1 million and later contributing over $180 million. The GEB aimed to reform education in the United States, particularly in the South, by modernizing schools, standardizing curricular, and training teachers. A key focus was industrial education, teaching students practical skills rather than classical academic subjects. And John D. Rockefeller, of course, he played a major role in shaping the modern American education system because of his philanthropy. And while he was primarily known as an oil magnate and businessman, his influence on education came through his funding of schools, universities, and policy-driven foundations. Okay, so the GEB helped many schools and the school system by promoting centralized and standardized education. But the criticism and the conspiracy theories about this is that some cities argue that Rockefeller's reforms aimed to create a workforce suited for industrial capitalism, prioritizing discipline and job readiness over independent thought. Conspiracy theories suggest Rockefeller's influence on education was designed to create obedient workers rather than critical thinkers. But it actually makes sense, like obedient workers, because as I said, you're forming the children to be controlled easier in the later life, So there are some key conspiracy theories I want to share with you. So the first conspiracy theory is the factory model of education. The theory is that Rockefeller and the General Education Board helped design an education system that mimicked factory work, production, factory work, Schools were structured to emphasize obedience, punctuality, and rote memorization over creativity and critical thinking. And what is more important for a child than creativity or fantasy or playing, playing games? There is nothing more important than this. The system ensured a steady supply of disciplined workers for industrial capitalism. The second conspiracy theory, the dumbing down of education. Rockefeller and other elites deliberately removed critical thinking from education to prevent people from questioning authority. Schools shifted from philosophy, logic, and independent thought to job training and obedience. This ensured that only a small elite remained in a position of power, while the masses were conditioned to follow others. Third conspiracy theory, Rockefeller's influence on medicine and science. Rockefeller's medical education reforms led to the suppression of natural medicine and holistic healing in favor of the pharma industry. The Rockefeller Foundation funded medical schools that promoted only allopathic, that means Western, medicine, shutting down homeopathic and herbal treatments. The modern pharma industry grew out of this effort, prioritizing profits and money over public health. The fourth one, the one world government theory. Rockefeller's funding of education and research was part of broader globalist agenda to create a centralized and controlled society. The Rockefeller's Foundation, along with the other elites, like the Rothschilds, promoted propaganda through education to align the population with their goals. This would supposedly weaken national identities, promote conformity, and create submissive world population. Okay, so after all of these conspiracy theories, you can create your own opinion about this, of course, and I'm very curious what you're thinking about this, because I'm a big fan, I'm a huge fan of conspiracy theories, and I definitely agree with all of this, because this is my point of view actually, and I'm very curious what you guys think about this and how you see the education system. And for me, school is clearly the biggest cause of mental disorder, like not just in the US, but here in Germany, because I see this from my students. Like he's all the time and under complete pressure and stress, and he doesn't know how to handle this. And for example, Peter Gray, he said about this that school is the biggest cause of mental disorder in the United States, yet what you read in the popular press, oh, it's all about computer games or social media. I've looked at the data there and it doesn't support that argument. The data are glaring about the harmful effects of school, but we don't dare to say this. And many people, unfortunately, they're not even aware of this, and especially parents. And that's like even so much worse, because if the mom or the dad is not even conscious about what kind of effect the school has on his own child, then we are lost. We are really lost. And another person said about this that schools weren't created for boys. Boys weren't created to sit in chairs for hours every day. They need to run, they need to jump, climb, throw, and be adventurous. They need to be creative and full of fantasy. Just let your sons be boys. Homeschool them and give them many breaks for healthy food and play. No drugs to calm them down. And I can talk from my side, from my point of view, that even I am 24 years old, and even for me, it's so difficult to sit in the class. Like when I go to university, to sit in the class for 2 hours straight and to listen to the prof. Okay, I mean, I'm also like very active, I'm very proactive, I'm an active person, but how I can't imagine how hard it is, like for sitting for 6 hours straight. Or okay, of course we all have breaks like for 5 or 10 minutes, but it's definitely not enough, because what do you do in those breaks? Like you go to the bathroom, to the restroom, and not outside, and you're not really able to do anything active. So anyways, it's very, very difficult for me, because as you can see, I struggle with this, and I can't handle children struggling with this. Like I can't handle this. Like poor them, really poor them, and I don't want this. I don't want this to happen. And imagine if schools actually helped children. For example, with how the biggest skill is to being present, practicing presence and ways how to heal yourself, because the body, of course, can heal itself. And learning more about yourself and about spirituality and about your consciousness and so many things more, about plants, the nature, astrology. There's so many more things about God, yeah. And schools actually help kids identify their strengths by exploring their talents, from a young age, and growing their skills over the years. And yeah, because otherwise they're all the time stuck in their own routine of going to school every morning. And another person actually said about this, that teachers in schools are shaping your child's worldview before your child even knows what a worldview is. And I can speak from my experience that in public schools they are not being taught to acknowledge God in all their ways, and they are being taught to lean on their own understanding instead of listening to their own intuition, you know. And homeschoolers have a huge advantage over other schools, over other kids, because they aren't forced to operate in stress mode every day of their lives. So as you can see, homeschooling is actually very, very good for your child and for everyone. So you're having so many advantages from homeschooling. And for me, I would definitely send my children not to school because of the experience I had and because of the experience I'm hearing from others. And yeah, that was it from my part for today. I was thinking about this, and you know, as I can tell from my point of view, schools are not good from my point of view. I'm of course curious about your opinion, but it can of course have advantages and disadvantages, like positive sides and negative sides. But for me, the negative sides are more. And yeah, I'm curious about your opinion. Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and like this channel. And I'm wishing you a beautiful day, a beautiful rest of the week. Take care of yourselves and stay with love and gratitude.